Welcome to our deep dive, into the world of Impressionist music.
Impressionist music.
Yeah, we've got a whole stack of research here
Oh, yeah.
to sort of try to figure out how this movement, started, what made it unique, what makes it so different, and how it's still influencing music today.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It started as a visual art movement, right, in France
Oh, yeah.
before spilling into music. So,
Like Monet and Renoir.
exactly.
They're all about like a feeling, right? Capturing a moment
Yeah, a fleeting moment.
rather than just painting like a realistic picture. How
Oh,
did
yeah.
that then translate into music?
Well, so think about a Monet water lily painting.
Okay.
It's not about the specific details of the lilies.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the play of light and color,
Mm-hmm.
the overall impression, right?
Okay.
And so Impressionist composers, they took that idea and applied it to sound.
Huh.
They shifted the focus from structure, this rigid structure, to mood and atmosphere, creating a kind of sonic tapestry.
Okay, so instead of like a clear melody and predictable chords,
Yeah.
it's more about washes of sound and hazy harmonies.
Exactly.
Interesting.
They experimented with different scales
Mm-hmm.
that create a completely different feel, like the whole tone scale, which gives you that dreamy, almost floating effect.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have any half steps.
Wow.
They also use a lot of parallel chords,
Okay.
which is where the chords move in the same direction,
Yeah.
creating this kind of sense of ambiguity.
Hmm.
Like they're not quite resolving the way you expect.
So it's like purposely making the music a bit unsettled.
Yeah, in a way, yes.
Okay.
By avoiding these traditional resolutions, they create a sense of longing, of a moment suspended in time,
Uh-huh.
which contributes to that immersive atmosphere that they were going for.
I see in our research it says that Debussy was dubbed the father of Impressionism.
Oh, yeah.
What made him such a pioneer?
His innovative use of harmony and orchestration really broke away from the norms of the time.
Okay.
Like his Clair de Lune, for example,
Yeah.
perfectly embodies the delicate beauty of Impressionism. And it's not just the title Moonlight that evokes that, right? It's the way he uses soft dynamics, the delicate piano textures, and these harmonic progressions that all work together to create that serene, nocturnal ambiance.
Yeah, I can almost hear it now. Yeah.
And then there's Ravel. Our sources say that he kind of pushed the boundaries even further.
Ravel was a master of orchestration,
Yeah.
creating these incredibly vivid sonic landscapes.
Wow.
His Pavane for a Dead Princess is a great example of this.
Okay.
So imagine like a slow, mournful procession full of grandeur and melancholy.
Wow.
It really showcases how Impressionist composers could use these techniques to really paint a picture with sound.
We also have some info here on Erik Satie,
Oh, yeah.
who seemed to have a very different approach.
Satie was definitely an interesting figure.
Yeah.
He embraced minimalism, often using simple melodies repeated with subtle variations.
Huh.
And his music had this quirky, often humorous quality that stood out even amongst other Impressionist composers.
So it's a reminder that even within a movement, there's room for individual expression and a wide range of styles.
So we've got these incredible composers creating this really unique style of music, but nothing lasts forever, right?
Right.
What happened to Impressionism?
Well, World War I had a profound impact on the arts. Impressionism didn't escape that upheaval.
Yeah.
The war's trauma and disillusionment led to a shift in artistic sensibilities, and many began to reject Impressionism's idealized beauty.
Yeah.
And the movement also evolved and gave rise to new styles,
Okay.
like neoclassicism, for example,
Yeah.
emerged as a reaction against what some saw as Impressionism's vagueness.
I see.
And composers like Stravinsky
Yeah.
were looking for a return to more classical forms and structures.
So it wasn't just the war, it was kind of a natural evolution as well.
Exactly. It's like a pendulum swinging back and forth between different artistic ideals.
Huh.
But even though Impressionism's popularity faded, its influence didn't disappear. It just morphed and spread. Welcome back to our deep dive into Impressionist music.
Yeah, last time we were talking about how this movement completely shifted the focus in music, moving away from that rigid structure
Right.
to mood and atmosphere.
Exactly.
It's fascinating how they achieved that through specific musical techniques.
Yeah.
We touched on scales and parallel chords earlier, but what are some other ways that Impressionist composers created that signature sound?
Well, let's talk about dissonance.
Okay.
Now, in traditional harmony, dissonance is usually resolved quickly, right?
Yeah.
Creating a sense of stability.
Uh-huh.
But Impressionist composers embraced dissonance,
Okay.
letting those clashing notes linger and create a sense of tension or unease.
So they were kind of playing with our expectations a bit,
Yeah.
making us feel a certain way by breaking the rules of traditional harmony.
Exactly. Take Debussy's Prelude to the Afternoon of a Faun, for example. It's based on a poem by Stéphane Mallarmé, which is all about this mythical creature, half man, half goat, lounging in a sun-drenched forest, lost in sensual reverie.
Wow.
Debussy uses these languid melodies, chromaticism, and these unresolved dissonances to create this hazy, dreamlike atmosphere
Okay.
that perfectly captures the feeling of the poem.
So he's not just setting the poem to music,
Right.
but he's translating the feeling, the atmosphere into a musical experience.
Right.
That's really cool. And another technique they use was the pedal tone.
Yeah.
It's where a single note is held constant underneath changing harmonies.
Right. Think of it like a drone
Okay.
that creates this hazy backdrop, adding depth and a bit of mystery to the sound.
Huh. Our sources mentioned that evocative titles were a hallmark of Impressionist music. I'm curious, how important are those titles to the overall experience?
The titles definitely play a role.
Yeah.
They offer a glimpse into the composer's intention, like a starting point for your imagination,
Okay.
like Debussy's La Mer, which translates to the sea. It's not just a random collection of notes.
Yeah.
He uses orchestral colors and textures to actually mimic the sounds of the ocean, the crashing waves, the vastness of the sea.
So it's like he's giving us a framework,
Yeah,
but we still have the freedom to interpret the music in our own way.
precisely.
Yes.
And speaking of interpretation, let's revisit Ravel's Bolero.
Okay.
It's a fascinating case because it pushes the boundaries of Impressionism with its relentless repetition and that gradual crescendo. Some might argue that its structure contradicts the whole idea of fleeting moments.
It's definitely not your typical dreamy, atmospheric impressionist piece.
Right.
It's powerful and almost hypnotic.
Yeah.
Do you think it still fits within the movement, or is it an outlier?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
And it sparks debate, even among musicologists.
Right.
Bolero is unique, but its focus on orchestral color, that evocative melody and the way it creates this singular immersive experience aligns with the broader goals of Impressionism. It's just a different, bolder way of achieving them.
This deep dive is already changing how I hear music.
That's great.
Do you think these techniques like the scales, the dissonance, the evocative titles, are they key to why Impressionist music still resonates with people today?
They definitely play a part,
Yeah.
but I think it goes deeper than that. Impressionist music appeals to our emotions. It's not about following a strict structure. It's about capturing a feeling, a moment in time.
Right.
And in a world that's often chaotic and overwhelming,
Yeah.
I think that's something we crave.
That makes sense. It's like stepping into a different world, a
Yeah.
world of pure feeling and sensation.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into Impressionist music. It's been quite a journey exploring these techniques, the composers, the historical context of this really fascinating movement.
And now we're going to kind of shift our focus to Impressionism's legacy.
Okay.
How did this movement, which peaked over a century ago, continue to influence music today?
It's amazing to think that music created in like those late 19th century Parisian salons.
Could still be shaping the sounds we hear all around us.
Yeah.
I mean, where do we see those echoes of Impressionism?
Well, film scores are a prime example. Think about those sweeping atmospheric soundtracks that transport you right into the heart of a movie.
Yeah.
Composers like John Williams, known for those iconic scores for like Star Wars and Harry Potter,
Right.
have even acknowledged the influence of Impressionism in their work.
So even though those scores might not sound exactly like Debussy,
Right.
they're using similar techniques
Yeah.
to kind of evoke those emotions and create that immersive experience.
Exactly. It's about using harmony, texture, and orchestration to paint a sonic picture, to create a mood or atmosphere
All right.
that supports the story on screen. And it's not just limited to those grand orchestral scores either. The influence can be heard in more minimalist and electronic scores as well, like the work of Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross for films like The Social Network
Okay.
and Gone Girl.
Now, video game music has also become incredibly sophisticated.
Yeah. Do we see that Impressionist influence there as well?
Absolutely. Video game composers often use Impressionist technique to create immersive soundscapes that enhance the gameplay experience.
Good.
Take games like Journey and Abzu, for example. Their soundtracks use lush harmonies, evocative melodies, and a focus on sonic texture
Right.
to really draw you into those virtual worlds.
It seems like those core principles of Impressionism,
Yeah.
like capturing a feeling of fleeting moment,
Uh-huh.
really lend themselves to visual mediums like film and video games. But what about popular music?
Yeah.
I'm having trouble picturing Debussy inspiring a top 40 hit.
You're right, the connections might not be as direct in popular music,
Right.
but those ideas of exploring timbre and texture,
Okay.
blurring musical boundaries,
Yeah.
and prioritizing emotion over rigid structure have seeped into various genres.
Our sources mention contemporary artists like Ryuichi Sakamoto and Olafur Arnalds
Yeah.
as examples of that continued influence, what makes their music stand out in this context. Both Sakamoto and Arnolds create music that's deeply atmospheric and emotionally resonant. They often blend acoustic instruments with electronic elements, creating a sound that feels both modern and timeless.
Interesting.
And while their music may not fit neatly into the Impressionist box, you can definitely hear echoes of those late 19th century innovations.
Uh-huh.
Their use of harmony texture and their ability to build these evocative sonic worlds.
It's incredible to think that a movement that, some might consider classical or even old-fashioned
Yeah.
is still so relevant and influential today. Why do you think those core tenets of Impressionism, those fleeting moments, the individual perception and emotional evocations, still resonate so strongly with modern audiences?
I think it taps into something fundamental about the human experience.
Yeah.
We're drawn to those moments of beauty, those fleeting emotions, that sense of wonder and mystery.
Ah.
And in a world that's often defined by logic and structure, I think Impressionist music offers a kind of refuge,
Yeah.
a space to feel and experience without the need for explanation.
This deep dive has completely changed the way I think about Impressionist music. It's not just like a historical curiosity.
Right.
It's a living, breathing tradition that continues to shape the soundscapes of our lives.
And for you, the listener, we hope this exploration has opened your ears to the subtle ways Impressionism continues to influence the music we hear every day. Perhaps you'll revisit those classic Debussy and Ravel pieces with a newfound appreciation.
Yeah.
Or maybe you'll start noticing those impressionistic touches in your favorite film scores, video game soundtracks, or even in the latest pop song.
The next time you find yourself lost in a piece of music, whether it's a classical masterpiece or a contemporary hit, take a moment to consider those elements. The evocative melodies, the hazy harmonies, the focus on mood and atmosphere. You might just hear a whisper of Impressionism reminding us that even though the movement itself may have faded, its spirit lives on in the music that continues to move and inspire us.